Another great social realist to look at is Grant Wood. And he is looking at what we call real regionalism. And as we're moving to paintings now, we're looking at a more traditional art medium or art form. And regionalism was a movement within social realism to think about different areas of the country and what they were going through, right? What are their characteristics? What's the flavor, right, of that place? It tended to be aimed at the Midwest, kind of the breadbasket of the country, kind of the traditional people right out on the farm, which is not usually what art focuses on. So it was interesting to think about what regionalism is trying to celebrate, which is sort of everyday people going about their lives, cultivating our food, and how can they be celebrated. Grant Wood actually was teaching at the University of Iowa and kind of had been plopped down, we might say, in the middle of Americana. Um, but instead of, sort of balking at this, he chose to document it. He often felt like very much an outsider. So I think he was actually trying to sort of learn about this place. He was a gay man living in the Midwest, so I think he was trying to sort of understand who these people were and try to unravel, who they were as a group. So this is his famous American Gothic, which I'm sure everyone has seen at some point because it's heavily lampooned and shows up in different types of pop culture. And the first thing I always love to tell you about it is that these aren't actually real Midwesterners in a sense, and how he's trying to show them to you. He's trying to show them to you as farmers, right? But the man was his dentist that he basically had pose for him, and the woman is his sister. So, this idea of art as illusion, we have to keep still thinking about that. But he wants to present to you kind of this farmhouse couple, right? Standing in front of their humble home with the barn kind of off in the background, right? And, sort of present them as these stoic, staunch, Midwesterners, right? And I love how the building kind of has this overtones of like a church a little bit. So this idea of like religion and down hominess and centeredness, right? I think that's at the heart of what regionalists are trying to show you during social realism, and again, illuminate a group of people that don't show up quite often, right, in the arts, right, as subjects. This is Thomas Hart Benton. Um, and he's very much known for doing these large scale murals of a regional characteristic. He was more well known for doing sort of Western kind of subjects, a little Midwestern as well, but kind of celebrating, as the title says, the arts of the West, right? Thomas Hart Benton also will be the teacher to Jackson Pollock. So later, when we look at abstract expressionism, you can consider the fact that this is the teacher to Jackson Pollock as well, and how Pollock will diverge from Benton's style. Notice that Benton, though, he is using a lot of modernism, in his works. He's using a lot of that expressionist technique. There is a sense of kind of, pulling and twisting the figures and playing with the forms, playing with the composition that I think, shows he knows modernist influences, but then he's kind of wrapping them up within the context, right, of the regional subject matter. So here you see sort of the arts of the West, right, taking place. And this is another of Benton's works from the state capitol in Missouri, kind of showing these different vignettes or these little framings of, the life, right, on the river, right, the life, of the tradespeople. I love how there's these kind of shout outs to like Mark Twain in here, right? Americana at its finest and its best. Now think about, the idea of the funding for these projects. Again, I'd mentioned that a lot of the WPA projects fund things like post office paintings, etc. A lot of these state capitol works are also funded that way. So if you go to a state capitol today and go see these big murals, probably they were Depression era projects because it was a way to keep artists working, keep money in their pockets, right? And keep the economy kind of floating, keep people's spirits up, right, all at the same time.